Finally this evening, our Person of the Week. At the inauguration yesterday, we were all so focused on President Bush's speech and what his fortunes may be in the rest of the world, and yes, the high rollers and the anti-war demonstrators, that we may have missed a little of the individual pleasure that many people derive from these great national celebrations. And so tonight we acknowledge a craftsman. His specialty is Americana.
They line the streets and they hoop and holler. And I think it's a great thing, not only for the parade and the floats, but the people that ride them as well as the people that watch them.
That is Earl Hargrove. Mr. Hargrove is 76. He was driving the Texas float yesterday. More importantly, he created the float. He created most of the floats yesterday. He's been doing it since 1949.
Most of the parades, and Lord knows I've done hundreds of them throughout my lifetime, that people kind of really look forward to what's going to be the float. What is the next float? Who's going to be on it? What is its theme? What is its name? And I think this is very exciting for people that are really involved in celebrations.
It's a lot of work, these floats. Mr. Hargrove and his team were busy this week at the huge company warehouse in Lanham, Maryland.
Don't forget you got 52 aside. Yep. Not 48. I want some glitter in here.
Mr. Hargrove loves glitter. It's his stock in trade. He does all the inaugural balls as well. The bunting and the banners, the flags. He's done pretty well by Americana.
We've been called throughout the years the president's prop man. I don't want the president calling me up and raising heck because the flag don't look right.
So how does one get into the float business? Well, Mr. Hargrove worked with his father creating store window displays. Those were the days when Main Street America was where we lived and mall was a word for a gangster's girlfriend. But then came television advertising. That was a squeeze. Mr. Hargrove Sr. was quite relieved when he heard that the White House wanted someone with his talents to work on President Truman's inaugural parade.
I often heard my dad say the only reason we got the Truman inaugural is because nobody was crazy enough to do it.
It falls to the Missouri float to head the parade.
The Hargroves brought in mules from Missouri to pull the float from the president's home state. It went pretty well until the mules got spooked by the crowd and went down a side street.
I was sweating, yeah, and it was a very cold day.
Greatest of them all, however, is the impressive inaugural parades held every 4 years.
For President Eisenhower, who practiced his golf in the Oval Office, the float had a man chipping golf balls off the side.
This guy shot one, and the president puts his hands up and catches it.
For President Kennedy, a replica of PT-109, the boat on which he served in World War II. For President Bush Sr., a model of the plane he was shot down in during World War II. Mr. Hargrove begins by sketching a float on paper. He takes his cues from the White House. Presidents can be very particular. Did one party get better treatment than the other?
No, we play both sides of that street.
He has not given much thought to retiring.
Where's the other half of it, huh?
As for the political divisions in the country today, Mr. Hargrove is realistic. He has seen it all before. And he is pretty confident about one thing. Americans really do love a parade. And as long as those floats are rolling, how could there not be a good feeling in the air?
If you sit back and look at all of that, that's a lot of history. That's a lot of things that are very meaningful to the American people. What we're doing is for every American in this country. It's not just for the President of the United States.
And so we choose Earl Hargrove. He says this time the inaugural committee told him things would be different because of the country at war. As those of you who saw it on television or in person, it was a good parade. This broadcast will originate in Iraq next week. We'll get around the country as best we can in the final week before the Iraqi elections. It's a very big event for Iraq, of course, and for the United States. So I hope you'll join us Monday night from Baghdad. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good weekend and good night.